Hello, Facebook land. Tonight we're telling a classic Sarasotan art story with local artist and educator Tim Jaeger. Culture Coast starts right now. Thanks for joining us tonight for Culture Coast, brought to you by the Arts and Cultural Alliance of Sarasota County. I am your host, Catherine Parks, sending thanks to our presenting sponsor, Elizabeth Van Riper of Michael Saunders and Company. Tonight's guest is a painter who is very engaged in bringing art into the community. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we're so pleased to have you here as well. And I would like to start with a question that I ask all the time on this show. Tell us about your artistic journey and how you ended up right here in Sarasota.
Well, I moved to Sarasota in 1998, but prior to that, I attended the Ringling pre-college program in 1996. So I've been around for quite a while, but I was awarded a trustee scholar to the college, and so I moved here over 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Graduated after 4 years at Ringling, and Sarasota kind of kept me here.
So from a young age, you were drawn to what kind of art? Obviously painting, but...
Yeah, I mean, ever since I can remember, this is what I've been called to do. Okay. So I never had an idea of doing anything else. But I can remember from a very early age visiting many different types of museums and just being really drawn to the pictures that I was looking at.
And you wanted to take that on for yourself and create your own art.
Well, coming from a large family, everybody was needed something to do.
Yes.
And so for me, my mom all gave us tasks, and she wound up giving me a journal pad and said, entertain yourself. That's what I did.
So how do you describe the work that you do?
Goodness, that's a great question. It's very expressionistic, very colorful. So I really like to be involved, which is kind of a funny word. But I really like to get into my work. I really like to push the paint around on the canvas. I love color. I love mixing color. I love seeing what color can do. It's constantly entertaining while I'm creating. What
is the medium that you use?
I use all kinds of mediums. As I tell my students, if it sticks, I'll use it. But I use all kinds of non-conventional artistic tools and processes to create my work. But mostly it's acrylic paint.
And what goes into planning each piece that you do?
Well, with the new series that I'm working on, it involves quite a bit of process. I fly drones over our beaches and capture aerial footage of our beaches on major holidays. And then I take that footage and process it through some digital imaging software and find the composition that I'm looking for. And then I draw sketches of that, which eventually turns into a painting.
Okay. And then you have a coastal contemporary series?
Yeah, so part of what I was thinking about marking my 20th year here in Sarasota is that I really wanted to make sure that I was representing Florida. For a long time, I hadn't embraced Florida as a Florida artist, and so I really wanted to make sure that I started painting my surroundings of the now, and so that brought forth this idea for this particular series, which involves beach umbrellas, indigenous fish, and other various scenes.
So what are some of the things that inspire you?
I love all of the fun vacation, hyper leisure, hyper colors, tan bare feet, turquoise, pink flamingos. That the tacky parts of Florida, I think, are really interesting and a lot of fun to embrace. So they give me a lot of emotion and a lot of ideas.
That's great. I know as someone who was born and raised here, sometimes you're like, whatever's here is not cool, and like what's at other places seems like, you know, the ultimate. But then you have to realize that there's a lot of great things that are native, like ingrown right here.
Well, I decided that if I'm going to be a local artist, I'm really going to be a local artist.
Yeah.
And I'm really going to work on a series of paintings that are very local.
Right.
Very Florida. And that involves all the colors and kind of tongue-in-cheek humor that goes along with it.
Yeah. So do you have a studio here?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you work in that's great. And what there's another I've always heard of SRQ, and I've seen a lot of things going on around town. What is that?
Well, part of my mission as a local artist was also to contribute to the local art scene. And over 10 years ago, with the recession, a lot of artists were moving and a lot of galleries were closing. And so it was part of my mission, along with a handful of other artists, to get together, to work together, to collaborate, and to produce rogue exhibitions in non-gallery type spaces. And so it was started off as kind of a support system, but really turned into a visual facade of our community. And it still exists today, and it still is working. But not just that, there's other things that I've done in the community, from public art committees to public speaking and things like that. I've always felt it's part of a mission as a local artist to contribute to our local arts and to be an advocate for that.
Wonderful. And then speaking of local artists, I believe your wife is a painter as well?
Yes, my wife, Cassia Kite, is a fiber artist and a sound artist.
Okay.
And a lot of what her work is museum type exhibition stuff. And it's called sound stitching. And so she composes music from images that she stitches.
Wow. That's really it sounds wild, and I'd love to see what that.
Well, it's nice because in an artist's household with children, we're not competing for the same type of studio space.
Sure.
So it keeps us in a good place.
It complements each other.
Yes.
And then where can we see some of your work?
All of my work is available online on my website, but you can also view it locally at State of the Arts Gallery on State Street.
Mm-hmm.
You can also view it in Artisan Cheese Company.
Oh, sure.
There's some work in there. And also at one of my favorite restaurants in town, Indigenous.
Oh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Food there is yummy. And then beyond creating your own art, you're also quite active at your alma mater, which is Sarasota's own Ringling College. So tell me a little bit about what you do there.
Well, I wear all kinds of different hats at the college right now, but I do a lot of campus and community engagement within the galleries program. And so what I'm always looking for to bring to the college are schools and introduce them to our program, our curriculum, mm-hmm. to help our public understand that college is a possibility and that design is everywhere around us.
Now, I also read that you did an artist residency and fellowship in France. So that sounds really wonderful because it's like my dream to go to Paris. But can you tell me what that was about, how that went?
Well, when I was in my 20s, I said yes to everything, basically. And so I did this little exhibition, and I met a couple who still owns a chateau and a wine vineyard and animal sanctuary.
Wow.
They invited me to go to France. And about a week and a half later, I was on a plane. And I spent a month there and then did that a couple years in a row. But it was really, as an artist, me coming into my own. I don't speak French, and I was there in a small village by myself for a month, and it was just an absolutely wonderful experience. There, I started painting roosters, which is something I'm kind of known for painting now, and I created a couple wine labels while I was there, and so really it was what I like to call the most wonderful art jail ever.
Not too awful. Well, I think, this community is very lucky to have you, and, I love your work, so I really appreciate you being on the show. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Sarasota is a wonderful, vibrant community, and I'm extremely lucky to add to it.
I totally agree. So you can catch Tim's work at the Art Ovation Honoring a Teacher, a tribute to Leslie Lerner exhibit running through October 2nd, and visit timjagerpainter.com for more on Tim's art and work in Sarasota. So that's our show for tonight, and we'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, Elizabeth Van Riper with Michael Saunders and Company. Elizabeth enriches the real estate experience of her customers with her extensive market knowledge and involvement with Sarasota's diverse cultural landscape. And we'd also like to thank Beautiful You for providing my wardrobe and iStage Homes for our very slick set. Our next show is on Thursday, May 16th, and we will be chatting and dancing with Sarasota-based musician Renesito Avich. See you then.